This conference will now be recorded.
Hello. Hello, is it audible?
Hello.
Hello, good morning, Karthik.
Good morning, Kumar. Just give me 2 minutes, sir.
Yeah, sure.
This conference will now be recorded.
Hello.
Hi, Karthik. Good morning.
Hey, good morning. Good morning, everyone.
Hi, Karthik. Good morning. Kar- Karthik, I think so. Everyone joined us. Karthik, I have some query. So,
Yeah, let's first complete with the queries.
yeah.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Kar- okay. So, Karthik, there are one thing that see, 2 days back, I just contacted Equisoft for the remaining documents. What you said you are sharing with them, and they are not sharing. So I contacted and clearly asked that what is the issue that they are not sharing. So they clearly said we have not received anything. If you have anything, please ask them to send it. So immediately they will send. First thing.
Okay.
Because they clearly said that if they are not receiving any of the document, and hardly 4 or 5 classes are left, and we are at
Okay.
completely end, and we don't have any documents. So what you need to share, it is not with us. Okay. Then the second point is that currently I'm in the HANA implementation, HANA Go Live project. So in that there is some queries which related to BP conversion is there, that customer CVI process for BP to like for customer and vendor relationship with CVI cockpit.
Okay.
So that I want to understand, like how, because when I go through that, like exactly how it will work, then I found that when MDG is a hub which sits on ECC, so initially the old ECC, what it will do, the data was not transferring from BP, it was transferring from customer and vendor with a connection. Now, as HANA is coming, so both vendor and customer data is going to flow from BP level only. There is no different connection. Both customer and vendor master data will flow from BP. So how will integrate that in ECC, that this is for the customer and this is for the vendor via CVI cockpit. So how to configure that CVI?
Okay. I'll listen to your second question. Okay. Next.
Okay. So this one currently, and I'll ask again.
Okay. Fine. So first, let me address your first question related to documents. So what I'm going to do now, I'll be sharing you a link, an universal link, using which you'll get a document, all the documents downloaded. Okay. So just give me 2 minutes. I'll share you the link.
Yeah,
For everyone, I'll share the link in the chat window.
Karthik, if you want, I'll show my screen also. I have like for me, 7th,
That's fine.
8th, and 9th recording classes is missing. I have sent multiple reminders. That is also I have not received. I don't know how to manage that.
Okay. Fine. So recordings again, there is something that I need to give it to them. All the recordings would be managed by them. Okay, they should be giving it. So let me talk with them offline. But right now, since you're asking about the files, I'll share you a link. Everyone in the chat window, you can download the list of documents from that link. Yeah.
That
So
will be
just
helpful.
Karthik, good morning. Actually, there was also one UI modeling video which you told that you will redo it and you will share it, or you will share the old video which everything where there is no error. So can you please share that UI modeling video also? Because in the class when we were doing it, we were getting some error. And that is also not shared with us.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Karthik,
Karthik, can you
if you tell the same the sharing part to that training management team, they are not really able to share because they might be conducting many of the trainings, so they might be indirectly mishapping in between. So will it be possible to share us directly the video, whatever you are supposed to
Yeah,
share?
that's what I'm
that
saying.
recording?
I'll share an email link centrally, and that link will be given to you.
Okay.
Directly can give it, download it from there. Okay.
Can I ask my question? If once it is answered, maybe I will ask.
Yeah,
should
please
be-
ask.
So I got because recently I changed my primary skill, so I am getting calls on MDG, but I am not able to answer them what exactly they are really looking for. So will it be possible for you? Just I will share the description here regarding the job description. So if you can tell me whether I can take up this role or not, then that I will go ahead. That is one role, and second role. I just pasted in the chat window.
Okay. Thanks, Satish. That I think so. You bought this. I kept for like end of the day or something. Yes, I also have gone through JDs, and in that I feel that they are asking for the live scenarios. So they are like I have gone through the interview also, one of that, and they are looking for the live scenarios. So where I got stuck. I I went to the MDG technical consultants, but they are looking for live scenarios where where you have worked or did, and that is also for initial level. That's all from me.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah, Karthik, same for me. Actually, I'm also like working as MDM consultant now, switched to MDG, but I have only this experience in the training what you are telling me. So with this much knowledge only, I am going for the internal, like in my company's project interviews, and they are asking for the live scenarios and bodies and complex BRFs and other things. So in that, because I have only small things, custom implementation which I have seen in your class, only that I can answer. But another things I am stuck. So they are not really taking. They only want experience those who have at least some idea about the live scenario. Otherwise, they are not taking anybody.
Yeah, I'll answer that.
Karthik, am I audible? Hello?
Yes.
Yeah, hello?
Yes.
Hello?
Yeah, you are audible.
Hello? Can anybody hear me?
Somal, you can hear you. Somali, right?
Okay. Yeah. Hello. Yeah, Karthik, actually, even a document you have, like I've asked for the document for parallel level workflow processing configurations for BRF. So even that document, like we haven't received. So if you could provide that document as well.
Okay, so that is also been included in the current documents. I mean, current folder. You'll get
Okay.
it.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
And Karthik, for this interview, if you could help us write some resume, like add something in our resume, so that will be really helpful. So you could provide some resume, like any
Yeah.
sample
So
resume.
the today's session it is planned. Today's session it is planned to discuss about resumes. Today's session it is planned to discuss about use case scenarios, case studies, and baddie implementations and solution specific enhancements. How to do all these things are part of today's discussion.
Okay, thank you, Karthik.
Yeah. So I'm sharing one in the chat window. Can someone open the link and see if you're able to download the file?
Karthik, 35 MB, correct?
Yes.
Yes, it has been downloaded, and 24 items are there. 24 file items are there. Okay.
Yeah. So Somali, you're asking about the parallel workflow, right?
Yes, Karthik.
Yeah. So I will be sending you other document which would cover which will give you the case studies which we are going through, resumes and other stuff. Okay. So everyone can download that document which includes all the items which we have discussed, except UI modeling related, the custom one. I think that will not come from this file. I'll follow up with the Microsoft team to send it. Okay. Okay. So this is the MDG case studies. Hope everyone able to see the document, right?
Yes.
Okay. So there is a scenario mentioned there. I would like you to go through the scenario and tell me the proposed solution, what you can propose. First one.
India system will go with the co-deploy model, and the US will go with the hub model because US has some legal compliance. Is that correct?
I'm just writing down the solutions, okay?
Okay.
Yeah. You're saying US is co and India will be hub, right?
No, opposite. India is co, US is hub.
when you say hub and co, you have a new system. I mean, can I expect any other answers? See, all the scenarios which you are seeing right now on this document are real case studies, real scenarios, customer requirements which are coming from RFPs.
Correct.
Yeah. So there is a scenario with you. Now, how do you propose it? Whether it may be right or wrong, you just need to propose a solution. Okay, let me ask you this question. If the master data is separate two different regions, okay, can we club those two master data in one system?
No.
Because there will be a conflict with the number
Yes.
ranges,
Yes.
right?
No,
So,
but we can, that also we can, for India we can use a different number range, and for US we can use different number range.
I think
but
both will be deploy. I think both will be hard deploy. There will be a separate MDG and there is two operation ECC for US and for India. So there is a hub deployment in both.
okay, so one more solution. US and India will be on hub deployment.
Actually, I'm
Uh,
changing my solution. I'm changing my first solution. I'm the same person who.
Okay, sorry.
okay. I can say that Karthik, with only one hub, we can able to manage with the number range, because they both the external number range can be manageable.
But users would not accept if you're changing the number ranges
Oh, that
because of
while
the
uploading.
technology. Because of the technology, a new application being introduced. So number ranges are something which is sensitive,
Yes.
especially when you are talking about material. Some customers will go with external number ranges.
Correct.
So they would not accept the number range changes or introducing a new number ranges for the existing business scenarios.
Okay.
Okay. Now, if you are able to answer this, master data is separated in both the regions. So we cannot club both the master data in one system, one client. But in one system, we can segregate two clients. And each client will responsible to hold one system master data. Right? You're with me?
Yes.
Yeah. So you have hub deployment model. In hub deployment, you will have two different clients. Why we are going for hub deployment model? Because you are going to save the infrastructure. You are not going to have two different MDG setup boxes. You have only one MDG box wherein the data has been segregated in two clients. Using the same infrastructure, you are trying to provide governance for two different regions. And since there is a separate governance process for separate regions, they will log in into the respective clients and there would not be any conflict in terms of designing the workflows as well. And yeah, there are some custom developments. US has ABC fields and India has, CD fields. So C is a field which is common in both the systems. So of course, when you extend the data model, since it's a workbench, it will reflect in multiple clients. So in both the systems, in both the clients, you will see total 5 fields: A, B, C, A, B, D, 4 fields: A, B, C, D. Using CBA or using enhancements of UI, we will hide the fields on a UI accordingly with the relevant regions. So that way we are going to provide a solution which will be benefit for the customers. Right? So if this RFP, the solution has been proposed, now you know what you have to do. There is an enhancement on a UI. There is an enhancement in a data model because there are A, B, C, D fields extended in Mara table. There is an enhancement in SMT mapping. And there is a workflow process separately designed. And there will be a data replication framework, the one which we discussed, will be separately configured for 2 different systems. This you will be doing as part of your implementation, right? The solution will be a new SAP MDG system will be created as a implementation. Yeah, this is one solution. Anyone see any problem here? Potential issue? Or any questions on this?
US might not go for the hub deploy if there are any master data legal compliance. You told in the class, so that is the rare case.
Okay,
Only
but
that
that
can be the
requirement
issue.
is not part of this RFP.
Okay, then I think there is no issue.
Okay. So this is our whole scenario. Okay. Customer has 3 production boxes: US, UK, and India system. Wants to consolidate these 3 systems into one S/4HANA 1809 system. That means they have 3 different boxes. They would like to merge these 3 different boxes into one with the latest software available in SAP market. That is SAP S/4HANA 1809. So they are merging, they are consolidating, and they are upgrading to one. That is what the project which currently going through. Okay, and how is the project running? Each phase has a duration of 10 months to convert it into S/4HANA system. First, US system will convert into EHP 5 to S/4HANA system. After 10 months, UK system of 4.60 version will convert it to S/4HANA system. And after 10 months, rollout of India system will convert from EHP 6 to S/4HANA system. So what are the facts here? There are three different systems with three different versions. Each system has a different version. All these systems are converting into new S/4HANA system with the duration of 10 months gap, right? Now, the RFP says master data is shared across the regions. Now, it's not like same master data being, sorry, there is no separate master data. Same master data is being used across the systems. Currently distributed governance is followed, but eventually, as per the consolidation, one central governance board will be responsible for all the master data. There are no custom developments in a solution. Say example, this is vendor master. The fact is there is no custom solution, custom enhancements, and the master data is being shared across regions, and there is separate governance process as of now, but eventually they are going to move into one central governance. So what solution we can propose here?
There will be one MDG S/4HANA box with license, which will have all the centrally governed data, and there will be three different boxes for US, UK, and India with no license. And with the licensed one, they will replicate the data to all the three which don't have any license. So in that way, UK, US, and India don't have to buy license for their boxes, but they will upgrade to S/4HANA. And the one separate box which will have license, they will replicate the same data to all the three systems.
Okay. So we are saying we'll have two S/4HANA boxes. One S/4HANA box is for MDG with MDG license, and another S/4HANA is for their system, their consolidated system, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
No, but in this case, it is telling each phase has the distribution of 10 months to convert into S/4HANA. So all the system is going to get upgraded.
So
Correct.
all the system will have S/4HANA box with no license. They will get upgraded, but the data will come from the box which will have license, and they will replicate the data with all the three systems.
So when initially when we have gone through, then S4 contains MDG. So when you upgraded it, MDG will be automatically inbuilt application for S4 HANA from 9 onwards.
Mm.
So US, India, and UK. Yeah, three different boxes.
Yes, what you said, it's correct. The hub, there is a hub system will be there above that, which will which is going to handle this system. Means our application is going to happening in all these systems, and the master data will be handled via this main governance system, the new system what they are going to deploy as a hub above this system.
So let me put this. So example from this month onwards, October 10th, 2020 is what this UK system is going to convert into S4HANA. Right?
Yes.
And another would be August 2021. Another would be, say, June 2022. This box will come into S4HANA box. Okay, this is what the plan.
Yes.
Now we are saying there will be one S4HANA box, which is MDG, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so this will provide its services to which system?
All three systems.
Okay, so right now this S4HANA box is not ready. I'm
Yes.
saying consolidated box is not ready. Right? The data is still there in US system only because the go live is October 10th.
Correct.
Right? So you are saying you will be pointing it to US system, UK system, and India system, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Because there will be as it is mentioned, single governance team is going to handle all three systems.
Correct.
Yes, yes. Yeah.
So then only we can able to manage that. Now here the in the first sample query where I said now here the number range will take the initial like for any upload and all that the number range will be created according to the country, or all the countries will be having a sequence of number range if they can able to access other countries systems.
Okay.
I think they are
So
three different
here
clients
also,
and the one system. For one client, we
No,
when
clients
US is
cannot
completed, we will. Okay, okay.
see if we are talking about company, correct, single company means it depends on like how the company is going to handle this, like they can share their data with other company codes or not. If they are sharing their data with other company codes, then we can a link will be there between US and UK and with India. If not,
see,
then we
right
have
now,
to make
sorry to cut you short there. So right
yes
now the fact is it is not as a new company code. There are three different instances.
instances.
After
Okay.
consolidation, they will introduce it as a new company code. Right? These are
Okay.
three different boxes. Still, the problem statement of number ranges or the problem statement of the SPRO configurations will still there is a conflict.
Yes.
Okay, so let's talk about the solution. So there should be definitely three different clients.
Yes.
Okay. Now we need to understand client A, client B, and client C. Client A, client B, and client C, right? So this is how. This is
Karthik,
how.
that, in this MDG also we are dividing into three clients, correct?
Correct.
Mean three systems.
Right. So
Okay.
there are three different clients which are responsible for three different systems. Right.
Okay.
So Once the S/4HANA consolidated system is available and US has been moved into S/4HANA MD consolidated system, right? Now in this, there will be again, now then we are going to shut down this S/4HANA MDG system. We need to bring these implementations into S/4HANA consolidated. For US, it would be co-deployment because US is the first system which is converting into S/4HANA.
Okay.
Right? Okay. There are two
Correct.
approaches which we can do. We can still keep S/4HANA MDG system B will responsible for UK till August 21st. Or still we have, as we have S/4HANA already available with us, we can bring this client B and client C into this consolidated system directly.
Hello, Karthik.
Okay. Now the system will be shut down. Now using this, what we are doing, we are saving client with the infrastructure cost and maintenance.
Right. So we are taking this license for very short time and consolidated in S/4HANA, and then the license will expire, and then we shut down this this box. Okay. Okay.
So once after August 21st, when they have consolidated UK system, they will merge the number ranges, they will merge the SPRO configurations, or they'll introduce a new number ranges, and they'll bring this UK system as a new company code. Right? So for UK also it would be co-deployed. You'll remove client B. Now there is client C. This will still continue till Jan 2022. Once they consolidated this India also into S/4HANA, then this will be a co-deployment for new company. Finally, there will be only one system which will be called as co-deployed system. This is one of the interesting implementation which we have went through. A London project. Everyone convinced with the solution?
Karthik, one thing I missed something that, see, in the three countries was there. In that you have deployed everything into single country. So all the master data now it is with a US co-deployment MDG system only.
Correct.
So like there will be a conflict with the master data, then it will be.
No, they will merge all the master data. So here, if you look at the point, the master data is shared across the regions. Right? Wherever the master data has been shared, if you remember, as part of our data cleansing activities, they will identify the potential duplicates and bring into one. Right? All those exercises will happen as part of the system consolidation. There might be conflict with the number ranges. So then they will introduce a new number range.
Okay.
So merging two different systems will always have a conflict with the number ranges and SPRO configurations and custom enhancements.
Okay. No, if I'll take one example like a material A with a single like in India, if you can able to see that with one, there was a material A, and US also with a number as a one with material A, and once they deployed into co-deployment, both material is required in that case. So
Correct.
means, so when you are like, when you are telling India, for India, you are going to change the number range.
Yes. If A is the A which you're talking from India perspective is different to A in USA,
Yes,
right? But still you are
yes,
saying it as an A, right? So
yes.
so
Bec-
there is a, but number range is same, but
yes,
the objective or the usage of that material is different, or maybe the completely material might be different, right? So
correct.
now customers will take it in two different use cases. One, completely if the material is different, they'll tag that with a new number. Or if
Okay,
the material is same but usage is different, they'll cleanse it.
okay.
Yeah.
Karthik,
Mhm.
this company code and number range, can you explain clearly? I'm not getting.
Okay.
Hello,
Yeah.
Karthik.
Number
Actually,
range.
in MDG IMG, there is nodes is there. There is CBA integration number ranges or something. So, are you going to show that things? Or?
No, CV number ranges I'm not going to show. Maybe I'll quickly run through the document, why it is required. You can do that as part of your exercise because that is not something that we as an MBG consultants will do. That is something the core SD, MM, FI, master data consultants has to sit together.
Mhm.
Then they should decide how a
Okay.
CVA configuration has to do. It is not even one single SD consultant who will do it.
So, Karthik, I have three questions actually. So, can I ask now or it will be end of the?
So just park that question. Okay. Right now I'm going to discuss about the number ranges. Then we'll come back.
Okay.
So the conflict of number range will come with the usage of the material. So example here, there is a number range for USA which has been used for ESA. ESA is a material type. And here also the same number range has been used for ESA. Now objective of this number range is using for ESA type materials. So there might be a, I mean, definitely when you say ERSA, the usage of the material is same, but the material might be different. Example, when I say raw material, when I take a manufacturing company who will be producing a large scale of pharmaceutical capsules, right? So they might be taking a NaCl salt as a raw material. Okay, and there is something called plastic balls as a raw material. So NaCl being used in USA system follows with the number range 111, sorry, 11 series 2, I mean 1 series, and here let's say it is following with 3 series. Now if you look at this two, there is no conflict because the number ranges itself is different. But when we are merging, but here the definition of NaCl in USA and the definition of NaCl in India both are same, right? There cannot be different NaCl. Raw material is same across the regions. So they might be having any description to NaCl. When they are consolidating the systems, they need to introduce a new number range because India people will not understand 111 series and the USA people will not understand Indian series. And maybe this number range, this is something business has to take a call. When we are merging two different number ranges, is the number range sufficient or we need to increase the number range? If the number range is sufficient, then they will convert all the existing numbers, all the existing NaCl related Indian material codes into 111 series. And then they will give KT, knowledge transfer, to Indian system from no one. You should be following this number range, I mean one series to create a raw material. So for Indian customers, they feel like there will be a new number range which has been introduced in the business, but for US there are no changes in the number ranges. Okay, so there is no conflict here. There is something which is happening new for India, same for USA. Now, when we are saying ERSA, all these are one-time materials used for the short time. So let's say when you're having a meeting, the snacks which you will order for the meeting can also be a part of ERSA. Or when the equipment is going for a service, the one-time chemicals which is used to clean the equipment is also a part of ERSA. So this ERSA would also be same across the regions, but following in the same number range. So let's say in India, there is some oil, engine oil. which is there in a USA system, and so far this engine oil is not available in India system, but they got an equipment. Now they need to create a quantity for this engine oil. So far they don't have any engine oil related etc material in the system, so they have to create a new one if there is no merging happening. But if they consolidated the system, they would automatically get there is an engine oil available because they are sharing the master data. So USA already has an engine oil related material. They will just increase the quantity and raise a procurement request for the new engine oil boxes. So there is no conflict, but there is some missing information here and there. Then they will enrich the engine oil related material in this system according to the requirement from both the systems, and then start using this material number. So when there is a number, when we are saying there is a number range conflict, there will be a same number and same material type has been assigned for the same numbers, and then there might be some attributes which are missing between these two different boxes. We will take them, we will consolidate, we'll merge and try to bring a best record out of it. Either this scenario would come or this scenario would come when we are doing a number range consolidation.
So Karthik, in the scenario you told, when the MDG box, which will replicate the data to S4 HANA consolidated US system, then after 10 months, since it is already in the S4 consolidated, we will get it the India system. But since the data is same, so US will get is different number range, India will get different number range, and these two are the clients which will get the data replicated after 10 months.
Correct.
Am I right? Okay.
Correct. Okay. Client has two line of business, pharmacy and diagnostics. Use the same master data setup, but the process is segregated based on plans. For example, pharma uses the plants PH01, PH02, and PH03, and Dia use the plants DH01, DH03. Client wants to do the go live based on the line of business. Propose a solution for it. That means they have only one box, production box. In that production box, they have two line of business. They will be creating materials, and that material will be extended to a plant. If it is extended to these three plants, it's a pharmaceutical material. If that material is extended to these three plants, it will be a diagnostics related material. Okay, so they do not want to hamper the business by doing a go live immediately. So they wanted to see, first we'll do a go live for pharma. Based on that, we'll do a go live for diaplans. How do we propose a solution for this? When we are saying two line of business, there would be two different user groups. Or to make it simple, if a customer has 10 plans, 5 plans has to do go live first, and remaining 5 plans has to go live second. Any guesswork?
Can we use the same previous scenario, like one hub model, and in one go live, you will get the data in these three plants, and then after this is done, then we'll go for the next go live, since the master data is same.
So you are saying there would be a new hub box. Am I correct?
Yes, yes.
Which will have client A and client B.
Yes, correct.
Okay. This is for pharma plants, and this is for dia plants.
Diagrams, right.
Okay. One workable solution. This works, but I would say this is not a best solution. There's no problem.
Okay.
This 100% it matches.
Mhm.
Now, having said that, if the customer is already in S4HANA, how do we do it? Okay, so let's talk about the solution. Since the customer is already on S4HANA, right? They have pharma and dia plants. It will definitely a co-deployment solution, but this will also works. Assume that the customer is on non-S4HANA system, or lower version. EHP 5, let me say EHP 5. So MDG cannot fit for this. So they have went with hub deployment model. Even in that case, this is not a best solution, but this will work. So first, what we need to understand is we need to segregate the pharma and dia uses. Okay, and we need to remove access for pharma, star access, which should happen in ECC system. Okay, and dia users will still continue creating the materials in MM01 T code itself. And there is no KT given for dia. There are no differences for dia. And dia users should be restricted to see the plans which are related to only dia. All this can be controlled using security rules. The list of plans that they can see, list of storage locations they can see, list of countries they can see. All these things can be controlled, right? So once we control the F4 helps and all those things which are part of MM01, now DIAS users are using MM01 for their purpose, and pharma users will be given a KT2 MDG application, and even there will be a same security role exercise for pharma also. In MDG, they will not see any plans related to DIA. Okay, so now they do not require two different clients. One client should be sufficient. If you are going with hub approach, only one client should be sufficient, client A. In that client A, they will be seeing only 3 plans and they'll replicate the data to EHP file. And when DIA go live is happening, we will add few more plans to hub deployment. We'll introduce new more in SPRO, we'll introduce the plans of DIA, the SPRO configurations of DIA into MDG hub system so that the same system can be used by two different line of businesses. And the same process would happen if the customer is currently on S4HANA. Strictly, the SPRO access has to be controlled based on security rules for pharma and DIA. So pharma MDG will be used and DIA MM01 T code will be used, and SPRO is controlled, and here also SPRO will be controlled. There are few enhancements which you might require. In S4HANA, let's say you are searching for a material, you will find a material which is coming from DIA also. There is no functionality in MDG that you will control the materials based on the line of businesses. Of course, there is plants and material search. But if user is not giving plant, but he is doing a generic search, he'll definitely get the list of materials which belongs to DIA users also, right? So there are few enhancements which we need to do in MDG system, such enhancements. To see, to query only pharma related materials. This happens based on the user who logged in. This is also one of the complicated scenario, I should say. Strictly we need to control. The same application should hide some of the information for the users. So hiding that part makes the complexity. So some of the hiding part can be controlled by SPRO. Some of the hiding part should be controlled by some of the internal enhancements. Hope the solution is, you understand the solution, right? Any questions on this? Okay, so let me move to the next question. Clients wants to minimize the number of fields in MDG UI which are not being used by business. How can we do it?
Yeah, Karthik, by UI enhancement or UI.
UI enhancement. Okay. So inventory team sends the new material details to the MRF form.
So Karthik,
Right.
here in UI advancement, we'll do the same way, like we go to the UI BP and config UI, and there we can remove the fields which
Exactly.
are required in the UI. Okay.
Exactly. Inventory team sends the new material details in MRF form, material request forms, to a material representative via an email. These details will be verified by the representative and shared to a material section head for an approval. On his approval, material representative will create the materials in SAP system by copying a MRF data. All this process running on via emails. Process SAP solution for this. This is the customer problem. All the materials have been requested manually via emails and Excel. Is there any SAP solution to make it, into solution specific process?
Workflow.
I mean, this is not like workflow. Then we should say, yes, there is an SAP MDG solution available. All these things will come, when you are going for a sales bidding. Okay, this is the problem statement for them. They wanted to digitalize this process. So for that, we will say SAP MDG implementation is a best solution, which has workflow, rules, integrated staging.
To go on the data. Okay.
Client never implemented business partner earlier, but wants to implement MDG for governing suppliers. Propose a solution. So here, since we did not talk about solution specific implementations, so there is something called MDG customer, right? MDG vendor, or MDG sub, not like MDG vendor. There are three different solutions which SAP is offering. Okay. Now, business
Karthik,
partner.
this
Yeah, please go ahead.
yeah, Karthik, these customer and vendor are called business partners, right?
Correct.
With if they have address details also. So why we have three different solution? Why we don't have only BP? Why we have customer also, vendor also separately?
Right, I'll talk about it.
Okay.
So I'll try to make a scenario here. Okay. So let's say I'm a person who is working in a company A. Say TCS. So whom I am in the company? Employee. Okay. And I also had a sub contract in a TCS company to provide stationery to TCS, everyone's stationery. So who am I now? I am a vendor because TCS is purchasing stationery from me.
Right.
Similarly, from TCS, I mean, we have this Chroma, right? Related to its Tata products. Chroma is a store, electronic store,
Yes.
where I'm purchasing some of the laptops. So who am I now?
Customer.
Customer. So here it is for okay. So who will manage the employee data? HR. Who will manage the vendor data? SRM. Who will manage the customer data? CRM team. Now in all these three scenarios, these are three different master data. Is it true?
Yes.
Right. So let's say if I wanted to update my email ID, a personal email ID. Okay, my personal email ID will be same as an employee. My personal email ID is same as a stationery and laptop. I mean, sorry, as a customer, right? As a vendor, as a customer, as an employee, my personal email ID will remain same.
Right.
Correct? Okay. So now I updated my HR team to update my personal email ID from A to B. There was an email ID called A. I asked them to update to B. Now, do you see that this email updation will happen for vendor and customer master data records also?
No, because it's
No,
personal email ID.
no, but it has to be changed, right? The personal email ID is being changed. It has to update at vendor level and customer level also. There will be email ID
Yeah,
types, vendor and customer, right?
for that. From
Email ID
integration is
type. Integration is required.
yeah.
So for that, there is a concept of business partner which has been evolved. Business partner is a concept where the central fields of vendor, central fields of customer, central fields of employee will be shared to a BP level. And a business partner will be extended to a role, HR role, vendor role, customer role, some security role, financial analyst role, or chartered accountant role, treasury role. Likewise, there are n number of roles which are defined for a business partner. Where all this master data, some of the common fields will be shared at a BP central level. Now, if you update business partner, that will update in all HR, SRM, CRM, wherever the BP is extended. So that level of integration is there with the common fields. Okay, that's the concept of BP.
Okay.
Now there are some customers who will not use the business partner. Still, they will be separately managing vendor, customer, and employee. For them, going with the business partner is a new change management altogether. And the business partner concept is becoming mandatory in S4HANA. From S4HANA, you cannot navigate to XK01 or XD01 T codes. You have to use BPT code as a business. It's a mandate. Now, when we are saying MDG customer or MDG vendor or MDG supplier, they will not create the vendor master, customer master. They will first create the business partner.
Okay, so MDG, they will create the business partner and then accordingly assign the roles, whether it's vendor, customer, or both.
Exactly. Okay. So there is some integration which is there at the system level, not at MDG level. You create a BP, automatically it will create a supplier or customer or employee based on the role which you are selecting. You create a BP and extend to a vendor role, it will create a vendor master. You create a BP and extend to a customer role, it will create a customer master. This happens via a concept called CVI, customer vendor integration. Till so far we are talking only about the standard SAP functionality, not MDG functionality. We are talking only standard SAP ECC or ERP functionality. Now, when we are saying MDG BP or MDG vendor or MDG customer, the application, MDG application will not understand vendor master. It will come to business partner only. It will create a BP itself. Once you create a BP based on the CV configuration, it will create a vendor and customer. So what MDG is doing, MDG is creating business partners, but not vendors and customers. It's a fact. As per the design, it will create only business partners. If the BP is created and CBA is not maintained, it will not create the vendor master. It will not create the customer master. Okay. Now, if customer is using vendors using XK01, just for an example, I'm saying if customer is using XK01 and immediately you are asking to him because and he wants to implement MDG, when customer goes for the problem statement. A salesperson from a MDG implementation partner, or say some implementation partner, will say, hey, for governing solutions, there is a governing solution for supplier. You can implement MDG for it because the label says it's an MDG vendor, right? A salesperson will have a very high level overview. So if you want to govern vendors, there is a solution called MDG. You implement MDG vendor for it. They will convince with it and they'll take a project. And when you are doing a business requirement gathering or the realization phase, then customer will realize that it is not directly a vendor governance they are doing. They are upgrading themselves from vendor to business partner. It's a big change for them as a change management. There are some of the implementations which has been accepted initially, especially in the business partner space, because customer is asking for a vendor governance solution and we are providing a business partner governance solution. Reality is different from the sale which was happened. So there are some MDG projects which were stopped in between, stopped at the business requirement gathering activity itself. Some of the customers will convince, they will convince with this process and they will adapt the new business partner technology and they'll do it. Hope you understand the risk here. So for us, what we will say, if customer is not listening, then we'll tell anyways you have to upgrade your EHP5 systems into S4HANA systems because SAP is going to stop support for EHP5 systems. You have to upgrade to S4HANA system. So in S4HANA, BP is mandatory no matter whether you're implementing MDG or not. So it is better you adapt your end users with the latest concept available business partner, which will help you to manage and integrate various other masters and centrally manage the common fields. Some customers will agree, some customers will deny. Okay, so this is one of the problem statement. Now, there are various UIs, business partner UI, MDG supplier UI, MDG supplier ERP UIs. Like that, there are various UIs. For same vendor master, you have different UIs. So now you are seeing customer governance lean request, customer governance, and ERP customer UI. Right? Why do we need three different UIs? So this customer governance UI will have the bare minimum fields which you are seeing in XD01T code. So this search ERP customer, of course, it will search for a business partner, but the list of UIBBs which you are seeing here is more relevant or is more, close to the transaction which you are seeing here. Now, customer governance UI, there is something on customer governance. This UI will be more closely related to business partner UI. Customer lean governance. So not 100, let's say if your customer master has 200 fields, you don't have 200 fields in lean governance. You have maybe, say 50 or 80 fields. A very minimal fields to create a customer master. Because SAP customer master is a very vast solution. Even if you take this various tab steps, do you think customers will use all these fields? No, definitely not. These are all additional fields for the customer. That's why there are something called field groups is given. They will control a list of fields in a backend. In SPRO, they will manage the UI properties of the fields and they remove most of the fields. So they will keep only mandatory fields on a UI. The rest of the fields, they don't use it. Mandatory and business, their business specific fields. So for that purpose, we have one more UI, which is called lean request. But the concept will never change. It is only the difference between the list of UIBBs and list of UI fields which are available on a customer master. Here you search for a customer master, you will get the same business partners 1, 11, 12, 13, and you go and search for the customer governance ERP UI, you will get the same customers which are in the form of business partner. Even 12, 13, 14. Yeah. So now let me talk about business partner especially. Since we are talking about CVA integrations, right? You navigate to supplier, integration with vendor master and ERP, set up vendor master for governing supplier. Here there are the list of SPRO configurations which they have given. All these things are not MDG specific activities, but you need to make sure you sit with an SD consultant and he'll perform all these activities. there is one more node. Just a moment. Yeah. This is something configure CVA for ERP UI. You click on this node. It will take you to role categories. These are business partner roles. Now there is some direction. You create a BP, it will create a vendor. Or you create a vendor, it will create a BP. So there should be mapping. Which group of account group of vendors should be created as in which role of business partner. If you want to see all these configurations in a different place, I'm giving you directly SPRO configuration node, cross applications, SAP business partner, and financial accounting. Now, in financial accounting, we have account receivables and account payables. Here we have vendor accounts, master data, preparation of master data, create number ranges for vendor accounts. These are number ranges, and these number ranges will be assigned with an account groups. It's a goods vendor, goods supplier, alternative pay, invoice, plans, special vendor. Each group will be assigned with a number range. So if you select this vendor, it will pick automatically XX range. If you take special vendor, it will take 0 to range. Now where do we see this vendor groups? Let me go to XK01. Account group. These are the account groups which we are talking about. The configurations which we are maintaining here as an account groups will come as one of the mandatory field when you are creating a vendor.
Hello, Karthik. This one account group or business partner group?
Account group of vendor.
But from MDG side, this is business partner group or what?
Correct. It is business partner group.
Okay.
Okay. So this is something which you are seeing at a vendor level. Now, this is a vendor setup. Similarly, there will be a customer setup. Master data, preparation of customer master data, number ranges to a customer accounts and customer account groups.
For this, they will be assigned one functional people or MDG consultant we have to do.
Not MDG consultant. See, these are all not part of MDG AMG. Point number one. We will be doing only configurations related to MDG AMG. These are coming under SPRO configurations.
Okay.
And this is coming under financial accounting node.
So from MDG side, how we can confirm that all the SPRO configures completed? How you check so that we can consult with functional people? Okay, this is not configured like that.
Now we need to understand one point. MDG project is not to set up the master data. MDG project is all about you already have a master data setup. How do you provide a governance to the master data, right? Before MDG, after MDG, what is the change for the customer? providing a governance to the master data setup is what the change. So
Okay.
this setup has to be there with the customer as a prerequisite before you do an MDG project. If it is not working, you will just write an email to them, this is not working, and they have to do it.
Okay.
Okay, now this is something customer and vendor setup. To do a business partner setup, we need to go into cross application components. SAP business partner. Business partner, basic settings, number ranges, some number ranges here, and these are the groupings. Here also you can create like local vendor or supplier or FSCM, some description to the groupings. Now there is something called business partner role. Let me show you an example how a role will be different, how you can compare the role. /o xk01. What does it say? It's a create vendor, which gives you, sorry, /n xk03. Display vendor with general data, company code data, and purchasing data, right? Now /n mk03. What does it show? It shows only purchase organization related data. FK03, it shows only company code related data. Company code means the finance. Purchase means procurement team, right? So similarly, you have three different T codes to create a vendor and manage the data. You have three different roles here. This is purely a central vendor role, and you have something called FLVN01 and FLVN0. I think here they have given wrong. FLVN01 would be finance and FLVN00 would be a vendor. One is FI vendor and another is the purchase vendor. So accordingly, UA fields will change. Now these roles are part of BPT code /o BP. So these are the groupings which are coming from the number ranges. and these are the roles which are currently are seen in the role configuration. Now this is the setup of business partner. You have number ranges and roles. Now we saw three different setups: BP, customer, and vendor. How do we synchronize them? That part will come under master data synchronization. When we are saying CVA, I'm doing all these things as part of CVA, customer vendor integration. Business partner settings, settings for vendor integration. Set the BP role category, direction creation of BP to vendor, or this is from vendor to BP. So there is a concept: you create a BP, it will create a vendor, or you create a vendor, it will create a BP. It's a bi-directional. So here what do? You will have the role category, and in this role category, the moment you create a role, you are saying it is vendor based, and in the field assignment, here you will assign the number ranges. This number range of business partner grouping, say this grouping, if I'm creating a business partner with this contact person, this should create a vendor with this account type. Is it with the same number or it's with a different number? Selecting a checkbox. So it will create a same BP number for both business partner and the vendor number. For this, we need to make sure the number ranges of these two account groups should fall under the same interval. Okay, so this is one configuration setup you need to do in the CVA. And you have synchronization of master data. Sorry, not this one. Synchronization control. All these things are already delivered by SAP. We don't do any changes. We will just make sure these three entries are there. Unfortunately, someone would go and delete it. If it has been deleted, we need to refer to other systems, or we need to Google or the CVA documents which are there. They will give these details. And some of the post-processing request checks, you are creating a business partner. You say you activate it automatically. The moment you create a BP, it will create a vendor. Now you have vendor to BP scenario. You create a vendor, it will create the BP automatically. You need to select this. But we don't generally have that scenario. I think some prerequisite settings are missing. So this is also BP to customer scenario. Yes, I want this. Customer to BP scenario. you want bidirectional setup, then you need to add these two entries. If you want only BP to vendor scenario, BP to customer scenario, you will have these two scenarios, two records here. Yeah, so this is about the CVA integration. Now, there are various documents available to do the same, but rather than going with the generic documents, I would suggest to go with MDG IMG related CVA integration setup. Because this will give you the mandatory setup which is required to perform CVA. If we do these two setups, then automatically your CVA integration is completed. These two nodes will again redirect us to the same concept which we have went through. If you want to get the document, even that is also available. Not this one. Not this one. Yeah, this is a link. This is nowhere related to MDG, but this is an actual link which we need to follow. So I'm sharing the link for the quick setup. You can refer this for any CVA configurations. But make sure you do not take up this activity under your MDG implementations. You always need to push it to the customer because this is very sensitive activity. Any changes to the number ranges would impact lot of issues in the backend. Okay. Now I will talk about
Karthik, do you have
yeah.
Karthik, do you have any file where there are all the interview questions which we can go through for any external interview or internal project interview?
Interview questions I don't have because the scope is very limited for the interviews. All they would ask is there would be three to four questions which you will get in any interview. One, how do you enhance a custom field or a new entity type in a data model? This question will definitely get in any interview. So you need to start identify how you will identify the relevant entity. What is the data model? Is it a reuse mode or flex mode? Whether it will be type 3 entity or type 4 entity. In which entity you'll make a relationship. And you generate the structures. And you'll verify that in the general model. You come to UI and enhance it. When you are enhancing it a new entity, then how do you identify which feeder class you will select? And how do you link that new ABB with MDJ governance process? So you go and give the general object and the linkages to it, feeder class parameters. And how does it read the data? If it is reuse mode, you need to do SMT mappings, right? So this question will definitely come, and they will go with the workflows to design a scenario, and any enhancements in the workflows they might ask. How do you add a custom field to a BRF plus decision tables? That's something that I would be discussing in the BADI. How do you pass it? And they'll ask about the data replication framework. What is a data replication, outbound implementation, or replication model? And where are the SMT mappings available? And then they will be asking about the deployment options. These are the four questions which are mandatory for every implementation. Every interview. You either take a project-specific interviews or you take a job-oriented interviews. These are common. Sometimes they might confuse you, and how you would answer, it depends upon us how we'll understand the question and do it. So there was one participant in the last to last session. Last to last, previous to previous batch. So there was a question from a interviewer to him. What is the difference between a fuzzy search and a normal search? Or what is a fuzzy search? So what should be the answer for it?
Yeah, Karthik. Fuzzy search means suppose there is a company Blue Dot. Okay. So if there is a gap between blue and that, it will be search. That is called fuzzy search.
It is not only space, it will take the closest match.
Yes.
Even if you give this value, it will give you the blue dot.
Yeah, even if we miss any alphabet, then only it will give the result.
Correct.
But if in normal search, if we don't give the full alphabet, it will not understand that what we have written. So it will give error.
Exactly.
Like it will not.
The type errors will be ignored and it will give the closest match. Right? the typo errors or the spelling mistakes or the gaps in a search keyword will be ignored and it will give the closest match.
Right.
In Fuji search, okay.
Right. So, I mean, the participant came back to me. They are asking me, all these questions. How do I answer? These are all new. I would expect this is obvious when we discuss the fuzzy search in a training, right?
Yes. 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 Yeah. Right.
And he just asked, how do you implement fuzzy search in Material Master? How is it different to a business partner? How is it different to Finance Master? The fuzzy search is the concept same.
It is the same concept, but
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying, I got an email. You did not discuss about fuzzy search in Material Master. You discussed the fuzzy search in, in Business Partner. So I would not able to answer the question. Okay. So what I'm trying to say is the concept is same in the framework because we discussed the framework related concepts. It is no way different with the solution. There is only one gap in the solution is related to business partner, which I will be talking about. There is no general model delivered for the business partner by MDG framework. Okay, so let me park that. I'll first talk about the enhancements. What are related what badges generally you will be implementing.
Karthik, only one thing, like in the first question you told that they will ask about the enhancement of the data model. So we have to enhance the data model and relationships and other things. But after that, you told that we will go to the UI. So why will go to the UI part, the UI modeling? Because if they are only asking for the enhancement of data model.
No, the ask about how do you enhance the solution for the with the two fields means they would expect the two fields to be available on a UI, and users will give those two fields on a UI. It should replicate back to ECC.
Okay. 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 Okay.
So bad is related to validations and derivations. Validations and derivation. This is entity specific. This is data model specific. So in the sequence, if you see, first validations and derivations related to entity specific will trigger first. After that, cross entity will trigger. Here, errors cannot be raised. Errors converts. Any questions on this too?
Yeah, Karthik, what do you mean by data model specific and entity level specific? What is the difference?
That means you can filter you can do the implementation for BP data model and BP header, one implementation. BP data model and BP uh, fax details, BP address details, BP company code details. So each entity you can have a different implementation.
Mhm. Okay.
But here it is only data model specific. You can have only one implementation for data model.
Mhm. Okay.
Okay, apart from this too, you would never implement any of this in your implementation projects, because most of them have been obsolete and most of them have been related to indexing of Trex engine and other integrations.
So, Karthik, I have one regarding derivation. Suppose field A derive field B and field B derive field C. Okay. So there is a sequence. Because so how the if where the sequence will be maintained, because without field A, if I derive field B and C, that is not correct. Okay.
So that depends on your logic, how you are building it.
Okay, that is not customizing. You have to through coding only we maintain the sequence.
Correct. First you will hard code. First you will write a code. If field A is not given, right? Field A, please enter a value for field A.
Okay.
You will enter the field A value, then you will derive B and C.
Okay.
Yeah.
Karthik, there was one question which one of the project in my company, they asked me that what are the various body you can implement in a BRF workflows. So I only told that there is a synchronous method where we can we can implement using body which is used to call the which can generate the emails in between if we require any email or other things. So they told me that if you can create a custom field or any custom thing using any body you are aware of. So there I am not able to. Yeah.
So that will be answer now. We are in the process modeling now. So in process modeling, out of these three baddies which are there in the change request, you would implement only this baddie that is in a ray scenario. What is this? Customers user interface for the change request. Using this, you can make some of the fields as mandatory, reason as mandatory, priority as a mandatory.
So here also we can default value or suggest value where you maintain.
Sorry.
Here also we can maintain some suggested value for the field.
Yeah. So that part you will do in this get default values. CTKP. Okay. This is a changing parameter. In CT key field, you will do the changes to those change request related fields. So why do you implement this body? To make some of the change request fields mandatory, you'll implement this body.
So it is the only way to make the field mandatory, or is there any other way?
You can go to the feeder class and you can make the fields mandatory for the change request to ABB. You can default the values in the feeder class itself.
Okay.
Sorry, to make the and in the workflow. You have other MDG workflows and rule-based workflows. In other MDG workflow, you have only one body to be implemented. Assign processor to a change request. Dynamically assign users. So BRF plus workflow will have total 5 baddies. System call baddie, context baddie, parallel merge baddie, dynamic
Karthik,
agent baddie.
just one request.
Yeah.
That if you when you are teaching this BRF plus workflow bodies, please can you suggest one example, one complex BRF where all the bodies are implemented, so that we can understand everything in one example, so that it will be easy for us to in the interview also, if they will ask anything, we will able to answer with just one example. Is there any example which you can show? Maybe next class or any time when you are done with the regular activities this
This is
teaching.
not something I can show that in the system. I can give you
Okay,
the scenario. In the scenario, for which part you will implement which baddie.
okay, okay.
Because the rest of the Logic, how to implement the baddie is everything available in the document. How to do documents. All you need to do is you just need to go to that document and explore how the logic is.
Okay. And the document you have shared in that zip, in the link which you have shared, all the documents, there is that document available?
No, that is there in a portal.
Okay. Help.scp.com.
So set up parallel workflow. How to do gates, right? We discussed about how to do gates. In how to do gates, you have all this documentation.
Okay. Okay.
See, they are talking about a service name for rule-based workflow. And here, the idea is to implement a parallel workflow. You are having the logic here. Somewhere.
So all these 5 bodies which are in the BRF are available in this document, how to implement.
Yes.
Okay.
This is to design only parallel workflow. Okay.
Okay.
Nothing related to any other concept. System call banding can be for any backend activity. It can be an email. It can be some replication. It can be some database table update. It can be anything. A placeholder for us to include a certain functionality in between the process. Context baddie is something when BRF plus decision tables are added with new custom fields. Example, the previous step and previous action there, right? So if the previous step and previous action belongs to US country, then the approval process is different. And the previous step and previous action belongs to a different country. Say for US you have a different process and UK you have a different process. So you need to add that country as one of the custom field in a single value decision table. So how do you pass the value to that single value decision table for the country field using context baddie? In the context baddie, we will read the values from the UI, what is the country value, and we pass the country value to the BRF plus table. So only to add custom fields, we will implement the custom baddie. It can be for single
Karthik,
agent
this
table, non-user agent table, user agent table. It can be for anything. Yeah.
Karthik, this system call body and contest body, can you show? Because mostly all the projects or any other external interviews, they ask about only these two only, context body or system call body. I haven't heard of other bodies in the interview because they are more into how to add custom field, how to add email. So they mostly are these questions. So can you show only these two body implementation in the system? Because if I can see myself in the system, then there is more clear picture in my mind. For parallel and other bodies, I can refer the document, but these two, the first two bodies, the system call and this context body, if you can show in the system, then it will be very helpful.
So you want the scenario to be created, or you can
Yes,
refer with
yes.
this logic.
A small workflow scenario where there is a system call and a context body implemented. Only a three-step maybe workflow or two. So only these two bodies are implemented so that we can see the custom field created and email is coming from that on system.
Okay.
Actually, theoretically, we can give the answer, but if there is a clear picture, like we can see ourselves, okay, this is getting created, then it's a very clear picture in our mind, and we can more confident in the interview that yes, we have seen this, we have done
That's
this.
something I'll do it in a session. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much.
And here is a dynamic agent body. This is to dynamically add the usernames. So let me talk about the triggering part of it. This triggers whenever you include a step zero two.
Karthik, comes again. I'm not able to hear.
Whenever you include a step called process pattern 02, that's a system call body in your workflow, it will trigger.
For
In a
that, you
backend
have to
step,
create process pattern, right?
yeah. And context baddie will trigger before the BRF plus engine starts simulating. Before the BRF plus application starts, it will trigger. Parallel merge baddie will trigger when there is a merge based on parallel workflow merge step. Based on workflows. Dynamic agent baddie. This will trigger after user agent rule has been user agent decision table has been executed. That means once users have been identified, then it will trigger this baddie to modify those usernames. Now, BRF plus validation baddie. This is something to validate decision table entries while configuring BRF plus application. Let's say if I'm designing a BRF plus application, I given a wrong entry. I need to validate it. How do I validate it? By implementing this baddie. This is very latest baddie which is available, released recently, starting from MDG 9.1. Earlier there were only 4 baddies, now we are having 5 baddies. But the usage of this baddie is also very rare. We don't implement it. And there is one baddie which should be the last baddie in most of the implementation projects. That is nothing but the data replication framework related different technical settings. Baddie to determine the local system. It is mandatory to implement this baddie and tell what is the current system where MDG has been installed. We will just pass a logical system name to this. There is already an implementation, this function module. How do you get this function module? You have an implementation class. Sorry. You have an example implementation. If I go to this baddie definition, I have a fallback class. That means this fallback class will be executed by default. Even though your piece of logic is not working, this will execute by default by SAP. So in this, they will determine the current logical system. There is some functional model which will determine the current logical system. But sometimes what happens, because of the solution manager, Solomon, this logical system will vary. If there is a solution manager implemented at the customer place, the current system name will vary. That name has to come from the Solomon. So then you need to understand how do you adjust the current system name by implementing this value. This function model will automatically link with the solution manager. It will give the value whatever the solution manager is returning to this function module. If this value is wrong and you want to adjust it, you will implement the body and you will give your current logical system name. By implementing this body, what happens? MDG will understand what is the current system where MDG has been hosted. When this will trigger, any data replication related activity, it will trigger in between. Okay, so these are the total badges available, total 10, which you would be implementing in your projects. When you go for an interview, you can expect a question from any of this, 10 badges. So as requested, in the next class, it would be, we will be discussing the system call and the context body.
So, Karthik,
Yeah.
suppose in UI there is a, you want to maintain business systems field. Suppose which system it will be data replication. Okay, so that will be maintained by SC01 P code and go to parameter or where? Because I just confused.
What?
In UI level, if you want to pass some business system, means target system name by default. So
This is not for the target system. This is to understand what is my current system.
no, not regarding this question related to that I am asking. Suppose you are in UI, suppose you in CR header you enhance some UI and add one field business system. That means the which target system it will be replicated, and it will be by default it will be populated. Okay, so for that UI is that the way for SU01 T code and parameter? Can you go to that screen? SU01 T code I can tell you which one, why any username. So here, see here parameter tab is there here. So in this set get parameter ID and parameter value should be business system. So it will be comes to UI. How is that? I'm confusing. So what is the link between UI field and this one?
Do you have business system? May I know why you are coming to this point, this parameters of business system? Do you see any
No.
documentation on anything as such?
Karthik, I think
in Google
Karthik, I
I
think
see one document.
See, this is something where you have a data element, and in the data element you will have a parameter ID. Okay, let
Okay.
me take SC11. I'll take MATN as a data element,
Okay.
and in the further characteristics I will see the parameter ID.
Okay.
Example, if I open MM03, okay,
Hmm.
I opened a material
Hmm.
2539, right?
Hmm.
Now I go back, I'll open slash n MM02. I got 2539.
Yes.
How is the parameter ID coming from MM03 to MM02? Because
Okay.
the parameter ID which MAT has been set from MM03, and the whatever the parameter ID which was set, that was been read here. That is called something called set and get. Set get
Okay.
parameter.
Suppose here you maintain some value like so that it will be populated to UI MDG screen by default.
Yeah, it will populate.
That's the question I asked. How it's linked to UI in MDG point of view?
See, again, when you are saying if I have a field, I'll get it there in MDG UI, you need to write a statement saying get
Okay.
parameter ID.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So for the business system, what is the parameter ID for the business system? Do you have a data element for it?
No, that I know. I just see the document. That's why I'm confusing. Here they maintain business system. So whatever they maintain in business system name in SC01, that will be populated in UI screen, MDG UI screen.
I understand. I think your question was related to defaulting a value for a user.
That business system is automatically come. If I maintain, they maintain in SC01.
Right. So based on some
Uh,
user group,
Karthik, I think in one class you told that in PFMG or SU01 screen you have maintained in the main tab you have maintained that customer governance. So that came as a tab in the NWBC screen. So maybe he's referring to that when you maintain that in that SU01 and PFMG screen, it is coming in the NWBC tab. So if you maintain anything in SU01, it will come in the NWBC UI screen or not? Like how it is coming.
No. Actually, that is not MWBC. That is when you go for search vendor, the in change request header, that is a field business system. So that field should be by default fill up.
right? So you can do that various ways. Again, in the feeder class, you can populate the values for the change
Okay.
request UI. Okay, and
Okay.
that's one way you can do it. Or other way, you can do a parameter. So business system is something, it does not have a parameter ID. That's what I can see here. MDG business system, further characteristics, I don't have any parameter ID here. Okay,
So this is not possible through this way.
that is possible, but you need to use a different parameter ID.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
You use a different parameter ID. Okay, maybe you create a new parameter ID.
Okay. Yeah,
And
they will be maintain some G something parameter
uh,
name.
so that will be set automatically when the user has logged in, it will set.
Okay. Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
just a moment now.